And for those who don't know who this amazing guest is, she's a professional actor, singer, dancer. Most recently, she's been on the Broadway and the Tony Award-winning Beautiful the Carole King musical, as well as the Emmy Award-winning television show, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did. That's
it. Good. She's a health enthusiast, self-love advocate, and believer in the power of possibility. Ladies and gentlemen, Gabrielle Elisabeth, welcome.
Oh, what's up? What a nice intro. I think everyone should introduce me that way.
I'm here for you. I'm here for you. Yes. So the audience wants to know is tell us more about your story, about your background, and tell us about the town you grew up in and what were some of the first things you were proud of as a kid.
Yeah, okay, let's see. Well, I was born in Oak Park, Illinois, but I always just tell people Chicago because, you know, most people don't know where that is.
Yeah, fair enough,
I was born in Oak Park, Illinois. I was homeschooled until high school.
Wow.
I have 6 older brothers, so we all grew up together.
And you're the only...
I'm the only girl.
Wow.
Yes. Right. So let's see, you said, what are some of the things, my first memories of that I was proud of? I'd say learning to read, because I did not want to do that. My mom used to read me stories all the time when I was little, and I convinced myself that if I learned to read, that she was not going to read to me anymore. So once I finally got through that, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to read. And I started like reading billboards to her, and then I'd be like, oh no, I better stop because she's gonna know I can read. But eventually I really set into it, and now it's one of my favorite pastimes. So that was really cool. Also when I learned to ride a bike, and I was 2.5.
Whoa.
2.5 years old when I learned to ride a bike, so I was really proud of that. And then the third one would have to be when I got accepted into the Chicago Children's Choir, which is a prestigious choir in Chicago, Illinois, for those of you who know. Traveled the world with them when I was a kid, went to Japan and all across the United States. And I just remember practicing so hard to get into it because it was my first audition to get into something, and I was really proud about that.
What were some of the songs you had to sing to get into the choir?
Did you do
like an opera soprano or something?
For concert choir, yes. But what was my audition song? Oh my goodness. It was this song from this cartoon movie called Tom Sawyer, but everyone knows Tom Sawyer, but it was a cartoon movie.
Okay.
It's like, can't keep a country boy down. No, because you can't keep a country boy. Talking about a country boy. It was something like that.
I love that.
But I sang that, and I got accepted, and I just continuously moved up in the ranks from there, and it was a blast.
Nice. And how old were you?
I was 11.
Wow.
I think I was 10 when I auditioned, but.
Okay. 11, yeah. Well done. Awesome. So we got a bike rider, we got an avid reader, we got a singer. So I like hearing the history of this because like what Steve Jobs says is that you can never connect the dots moving forward. You only connect it moving backward. So it's good to hear the kind of the cultivation of how that came into
being.
And
I'm still that same person.
I
still ride bikes.
Yeah, there you go.
Read and I still sing.
I'm glad you can still ride bikes. All right. Thank goodness. All right. All right, that was me. I'll be nice. So tell us, because I feel like, you're Gab, you're someone who like, whenever you want to accomplish something, you can do it. And so what was that children's choir the first time you kind of felt that way? Or tell us more about when you had that epiphany, like, oh my gosh, I really can accomplish anything.
Yeah, that's a good question. Thankfully I have a very supportive mother, and she always tells us that we can do anything that we set our minds to, with God's help. I believe in God, so that's my foundation for everything. And she's always taught me that God doesn't put things in you that you're not supposed to do. So I've just kind of carried that through my career and through my journey in life. And that doesn't mean you don't have hiccups. Like things get hard and you might be like, maybe I can't do this, but you just have to keep persevering and moving forward. So to directly answer your question, yes, I would say getting into the Chicago Children's Choir was probably the biggest one for me, to where I knew that if you work hard, you're going to get results.
Interesting. And when your mother was supportive, was she like tough love? Was she like, oh, sweetie, like even though you failed today, I still believe in you?
She was very cushy. Very cushy. I am not that cushy, but I support people. But she was very, but she's also very honest. She was like, I would never lie to you, because then you have to go out into the world, and then I've lied to you, and now you think that you're this great whatever. Yeah. So, but you always have this foundation to come home to. She said, what did she say? Everyone in the world is mean, but at home, we got to be nice to each other.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, 100%. And also, I feel like since you mentioned you have 6 older brothers, and you being the youngest girl, I know other people in that similar scenario, when they're the only girl of the family, they get treated like a total queen and princess, and they get spoiled like beyond crazy. So do you feel like you got spoiled? Or
Depends
you feel...
on who you ask. I say no. My brothers, of course, say yes.
Of
but
course,
I was very well loved. I was not lacking in love whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I still got it handed to me. Sometimes I got chased and hit, and not by my mother.
By your brothers, of
by
course.
my brothers, teasing. They never really hurt me that bad.
Gotcha.
But yes, I definitely got more love than most. I'll say that. But I don't think I was a princess.
Interesting. And so
I come from humble beginnings, so
yeah, it makes sense. So it sounds like there was, because some people like they only receive the love, they don't have to worry about the other brothers, but it sounds like the brothers helped humble you in the process.
100%. 100%.
Makes sense. I love that. And so you got children's choir, you feel like you can accomplish anything, and then tell us how you got to Broadway. Did you have to like study music and choir in high school, or did you have to do it in college? Like what officially led to your Broadway audition?
Yeah, so that's a bit of a journey. So I first just considered myself a singer. Like, I want to sing. That is what I want to do. I don't know in what capacity, but I know that this is what brings me the most joy. My mom would always tell me I light up and I'm a different person when I'm on the stage. I'm my full self, basically. So I knew that I wanted to do that in some way, somehow. The first time I was really introduced to musical theater, my brother had to watch West Side Story for a class, and he hated it. He hated it so much. My mom was like, "This is one of my mom was musical theater, and I didn't really know what that was."
Oh, okay. So it's genetic a little bit.
Yeah, somewhat.
Nice.
And she was like, "Yeah, I think this is really great, Matthew. We're gonna watch this. I'm gonna have Gabrielle watch it too." Blah, 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 blah. I fell in love. I wanted to be Maria. I was Maria. And I feel pretty, oh so pretty. Like that was me.
Yeah.
And so I knew that was something that interested me, and I didn't know that could be a career at that point. I was just like, oh, that's cool. Then I, went into high school. I did a little bit of musical theater there, but we didn't have that great of a program. So then I just became a jock, and I just did athletics for the rest of that.
A jock, nice. Okay.
A jock.
Yeah.
Then I graduated, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go be a lawyer. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to go be an English major, because at least I get to do the arts and I get to read. Remember, I like to read.
Yeah.
I get to
excuses to read a lot. Yeah.
Exactly. I get to do this, and I still can read plays and whatever and do those types of things. But then my mom was like, no, you should audition for the school musical. And I was like, I don't know about that.
This is college now.
This is college.
Okay. And what college is it?
University of West Georgia. You've never heard of it.
Okay. You already knew. Okay. All right.
So, but I was like, okay, Mom, I'll audition. I auditioned. I ended up booking a part. I was Alexi Darling, Mark Cohen. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I loved it so much that I ended up getting a double major in English and theater. And my theater career there just was thriving. I was in every single musical, every single play. I got a lot of opportunity there to really foster my gift and have those opportunities to really grow on the stage and know what that felt like. Then graduation was coming up, and I was like, do I want to be junior year was coming up. I was like, I don't want to take the LSAT. I don't want to do that. I just don't want to do that. So I pivoted, and I was like, you know what? I think I can really make this a viable career. I think I'm good enough to do it. Yeah. So then I went to the different conferences like SCTC and Unifieds and things of that nature, and I got like 18 callbacks. Whoa! I got 18. My first time going, I got 18 callbacks, and I was like, what? In the world, there. Yeah. I've made the right choice. It's opening these doors, so let me keep pushing forward. Then I got my first, the job that I booked that I wanted was I got Dollywood. And I was like, okay, I'll go I need to make money. So
like Dolly Parton's
theme park.
Disneyland? Yes. Wow.
And it's actually wonderful. You'll have to go.
Okay, yes.
You have to go.
With or without the cowboy hat? Yeah.
This is not a cowboy hat.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. It reminded me of a cowboy hat. I'll apologies for that. I'm not a fashionista, but it does look good though. Don't worry, it does look good. Yes, for the record.
I didn't worry. All right. So I went to Dollywood, really loved it, and met some incredible friends there. But I was still like, okay, now how am I? Okay, what are y'all talking about? An equity card? What is that? I had no idea. I was like, okay, well, I'll figure out how to get that. So I met a friend at Dollywood. Be nice to people. Be nice to people. Be nice to people. So I made a friend at Dollywood, and he was like, well, I'm going to Florida, and I'm actually over talent at Legoland, and I would love it if you could come with me. And I said, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I loved it at Dollywood, but I was comfortable there. And I know, like, when you get comfortable, it's time to do something else.
Yeah.
It's just time to challenge yourself and push yourself so that you're continuously growing. And I went to Legoland, and I was like, I'm gonna say I hated it. I absolutely hated it, but I did it, and I still learned things. But I didn't want to be there. So I was like, okay, so now I know. I went to Florida because I was like, Disney's here. And Universal is here, and these are hard hitters in the theme park world.
Yes,
you know? And I was trying to transition into more like reputable theater. So, well, really, my next goal was cruise lines, but in my brain. But so I was going to do like theme parks, and then cruise lines, and then move my way up.
Yeah.
So then I got my equity card at Disney. I won't bore you with the rest of it, but I worked for Universal. I worked for Disney. All of this happened in the span of a year.
Audience, what is an equity card?
Yeah, an equity card is the union for actors, professional actors. It protects us. It's the Actors Equity Association.
So it's difference between being paid like X and then equity people get paid 10X kind of thing?
So there are contracts that we have that specify how much we're supposed to be getting paid, but you can do a non-union project and make more money than an equity contract. It's possible.
Interesting.
It's not likely.
Fair enough. Yeah.
It's possible, but it's something that protects actors to make sure that we're getting equitable wages. We're supported. We're protected. You can't just treat us like props, basically.
Yeah.
We're human beings who deserve a fair wage.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So that's what that is. So the better jobs are typically underneath actors' equity contracts, such as Broadway. So I knew that Broadway was the goal, remember? So I was like, okay, let me do these steps.
And you knew Broadway was the goal in high school?
College. I'd say junior year.
Junior year of college. Wow.
Because I didn't think it was a viable option for me. I was like, I know I'm talented, but a lot of people are talented.
Yeah.
Who says this is for me? You know? Yeah. So junior year, when I finally made the choice of this is what's going to happen. Yeah. By any means necessary. I was like, I don't know how long it's going to take. I might be 50 when that happens, but I'm going to do it.
Interesting.
So I was at the theme parks. I got my equity card at Disney. All of this happened in a span of a year, which was a blessing. Yeah. And then I just decided one day I'm going to move to New York. Just decided. I got my equity card. But why am I still here?
No job, no nothing. No job. Just going to New York on a whim. Wow. Okay.
I have friends there, and my friend got me a job at a cigar lounge, which was fine. But the smoke, I sing, so it didn't work out. Yeah. And I wasn't a server, I was a coat check girl, but it was working out. It was something to pay the bills for the time being. Then I ended up getting a job at Ellen Strata's Diner. Okay. Which is where you sling cheeseburgers and you sing. And it was just a great place where I got my network. I started meeting people who were in New York for a long time, singing, maybe going to Broadway and then coming back to this diner. Yeah. And then that became a crutch for me. I got comfortable there, and I was singing all the time and talking over all this loud music. I lost my voice, and I was unhappy. Oh. So then I left the country and went to Europe for like 3 months.
Because you could.
Well, I saved a lot of money. I was like, hey, why not? I'll leave. I went there for 3 months. Really found some peace and really showed me like the way other people live. I think it's always a humbling experience because as Americans, we think that we are just the ish. Like nothing, no one else matters. What's another language? English is it. Blah, 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 blah. So going to these other countries and not being able to speak the language and having to like, it uses different parts of your brain and it just made me feel better. I liked that. So then I came back and it went to the States and it put things into perspective for me. And I was like, I need to not work here as much. I need to focus on my auditions because why did I come to New York? To sling cheeseburgers and sing or to be on Broadway? Yeah. So then I shifted and I started being more intentional with my time and how I navigated New York City, I suppose.
And I want to pause there too. So it's so fascinating. Like even though you wanted to be on Broadway your junior year of college, you still had to work at a cigar lounge. You still had to flip burgers. You still randomly went to Europe for 3 months for the heck of it kind of thing. And like, it's interesting that I think most people assume like, oh, all the best like Juilliard students are the ones that get on Broadway kind of thing. But maybe there is a lot of truth to a lot of waiters and waitresses, like they're going to be on there someday too. So I guess the question is like, do most people take like that random path to Broadway or since you've been on Broadway, did you talk to a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, I have private tutoring and training to get on stage since I was 6 years old kind of things? Like, do you have a typical experience or do you think it's atypical?
I think it varies from person to person. There definitely are those kids who went to Carnegie Mellon and Juilliard and NYU, and typically their journey, not always, because everyone's journey is different, but it's a little smoother. It's a little more straight.
Yeah.
You know, because you have that network. You go to those schools for the network.
That
honestly.
makes sense. Yeah.
That's why you go. So they've paid their way.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. You got to pay to
whether
play
they're in debt or
sometimes.
not, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you did that and worked hard to get into that school so that you could have that route.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always work out for all of them, but it's a little simpler. Is the word I'll use. But in terms of the show that I was in, a lot of hustlers. A lot of hustlers, especially when you look like this. Brown skin girl. Brown skin girl.
Yes.
People hustle. And if you talk to anyone, it's like some people dropped out of their major and just decided to move. Some people got hired right out of college. Sometimes that does happen, but then they have their one show. But see, there's this catch-22 of like, you get Broadway, but then now you're at this standard and you're competing against a whole other level of people. So if you get it when you're super young, sometimes it's really hard for you because you're like, okay, I booked this for my first show, but then now what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have all this knowledge and life experience to help navigate me to the next thing.
Interesting.
So I don't know if I'm directly answering your question.
No, it's interesting because I want it, like, for listeners out there, if they're like, oh, what does it really take to get on Broadway kind of thing? And so it's interesting to learn that, like, oh, sometimes you have to flip burgers, sometimes you have to work at a cigar lounge, and then sometimes it does work to just go to school just to get into Broadway too.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is listening to your intuition and listening to what's right for you, because no one would think that the culmination of all those things that I did would lead me to Broadway.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I just was like following the journey and saying yes to things.
But it sounds like you still had in the back of your mind, like, you did still want to be on Broadway, even when you were flipping burgers, working in a cigar lounge. You still had that guidance system saying, how can I figure this out, kind of thing.
That's why it's important to be clear on what you've decided. Remember, I made the choice junior year. This is what I want. And so any other decision that came after that was towards that goal. Now, if you don't know your super objective, you're just going to be making random choices and floundering. That doesn't mean you might not learn things. And sometimes we go through situations where we don't exactly know, and we have to try these different things so that we can figure out. But you got to be specific and intentional. Otherwise, you're not going to reach your goals. I love that. Staying focused. Yeah. And real quick too, going back to your mom's support, it sounds like that laid the perfect foundation for you. What if someone didn't have that kind of parental support in their life or family support? Like, where would someone go if they wanted to, like, find that amount of love and support from your family or from your mom? I should say, what advice would you have for them? If they don't have it from their family, you're saying, find a mentor. Talk to your teachers. Your teachers are such great resources. Talk to them. Even if you think, oh, they don't know, they didn't make it, why would I talk? They still know more than you. They still know more than you. So talk to people who are smarter than you. Ask those questions. Really use those resources that are available to you, because they are there. They may not feel like it in the moment, and it might feel like, oh, well, but this person goes to this better school and they have it doesn't matter what that person has. It's what you have available to you. Because if you're not even utilizing what's in front of you, why are you going to get more?
Yeah.
Right. And it sucks. Not everyone, things are not equal. Just get that out of your head. That they're not.
What do you mean by that? Yeah.
Things are not equitable. We want them to be. We're working towards things to be equitable, but the reality is they're not. Some people start with a head start. Some people start lower. That's especially with the wealth gap. That's just how things are. Yeah. And so I'm a firm believer. Like, I hate that. I want us to continuously work towards fighting against that. But I live in reality. And so I have to navigate what is. Yeah. And I came from not that much. Again, humble beginnings, and I'm still striving for more and constantly working, and I get down on myself. And that's when you call your friends and the people that you fostered those relationships with to help build you back up again. But then ultimately you got to go get it. You know what I mean? And so while thank goodness I had an encouraging mother, thank goodness. But if I didn't, then, I try to talk to an aunt. Yeah. I try to talk to a cousin. I try to talk to a friend until I found somebody who was willing to listen to me and try to help guide me. And if I ultimately couldn't find that, we live in an era where you have videos like this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm attainable. I am attainable. Yeah. Or talk, like I said, talk to your teachers, talk to your school counselor. And sometimes they aren't going to care. And that's unfortunate. but you don't let that stop you. You just move on to the next person.
Yeah.
But that's why your why has to be important.
I like that. I had a question in the back. Oh yeah, so there's an analogy. I want to listen to Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh, I do. Yes,
okay.
I've actually been listening to him a lot.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no, he's a good way to pump you up, and I like that analogy he uses. When you talked about like the head start versus not. He talks about how like the analogy is like in the morning when all the food's available, like there's these little tiny birds who have to like get up at 4:30 a.m. just to hope that they can get a couple of worms. And then there's the big birds that can come in and just swoop and get food whenever they want. That's just how they were born, essentially. So if you are a little bird, you have to work extra hard.
That's my nickname, which is funny.
Little bird. And how tall are you?
5'1".
Oh, that would help. The half counts. Yes. Sorry,
and the hat.
I'm 5'11 3/4, so I make sure those 3/4 count. As that little bird, what gives you that confidence, that tenacity to even go out and get the food in the first place? When you have all these big birds, you can just walk in and do whatever they want, whenever they want. Like, what gives you that inner fire to like say, you know what? I know the odds are against me. I know it's not likely, but I'm going to go after it and figure it out anyway.
Your intuition. And that takes practice to hear. But to me, when you're a child, it's the loudest. When you're little, you know what you want. And it's usually the things that you like. It's the things that you're naturally drawn towards, that are the God-given gifts that are for you, that you're supposed to follow. Maybe I'm supposed to be a performer right now, but maybe as things go on, maybe my ultimate goal is to help people, to mentor people. You know what I mean? You never know, but you got to follow those things, because if you're doing, and Gary Vee says this, if you're doing what you love, you never work a day in your life. He's not the person who originated that, but like, you're going to make money at it if you really stick to it. But again, your why, it can't just be because you want the fame. It can't just be because you want the followers. That's not strong enough. It's just not, which is why, I know people say a lot about Kim Kardashian, but I respect her because she got her fame and now she's trying to help others. And that shows me that she understands the underdog. I know she still comes from wealth, but you don't know her struggle. Everyone's got a struggle. Everyone has one. And maybe you don't respect the way she got her fame, but again, look at what she's doing now. And I can respect that. You got to look at the why. It's the why. And so again, think about the things that you did as a kid. Those are usually the things that you're supposed to be drawn towards, and just follow that as far as you can go. Or try new things. Try new things, new experiences. Don't just say, oh, no, I'm not doing that because of stereotypes or whatever that's attached to something. Just freaking do it. Even if you fall on your face, who cares? But that's how you're going to know. And then the more you lean into those things that just naturally feel in balance and good, those are usually the things that are for you.
I love that. So going back to the journey you're on, I feel like I like to picture like a superhero journey. You're kind of hearing the Gab's humble beginnings, getting beat up, standing up again, falling down, standing up again. And then finally comes the Broadway audition. So tell us how you got the Broadway audition.
It was a hot mess, which is why when something's for you, it's for you. So I was living in California because I was just over New York. I left and I was like, I need the outdoors. And again, I love riding bikes, right? Which I can still ride.
Thank goodness. All right.
So I went to California. I was like, I need some sunshine. I need to reboot because New York is a beast. It will eat you alive in a second. And that's just the beauty of it. But that's what sucks about it too. And it's dark, especially during the winter. It's so dark. And I was just over it. And I was like, I remember I left to go to Europe. And then I was like, I'm leaving again. I'm going to California, whatever. I got to California. I was there like maybe a month. Started feeling better, was getting my voice back. The sun was great. And I get a call from my manager saying, hey, we got you an audition for Beautiful and for Dear Evan Hansen.
Whoa.
I was like, okay, cool. Never been in for Beautiful. What's that show?
And this was a restaurant that you said that you were singing for?
No. My manager. I had a manager.
Oh, you did have a manager, like an agent manager.
Gotcha. Agent manager.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And I got that from my first job too.
There you go.
My friend in that show was like, hey, when you ever come to New York, hit me up. and I follow up.
Yeah,
Like if
seriously.
someone tells me to hit them up, I'm going to hit you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I like doing that to people all the time. Like, practice what you preach. I'm gonna call you on it. Yeah.
And so I was in New York. I was in California. I got the call and was like, is it worth it? I mean, I've been in for Dear Evan Hansen so many times. Maybe this is the time. Great.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even thinking about Beautiful.
Yeah.
I was like, cool. Okay. Flew in. I thought I booked my flight for 6 p.m. the night before. Booked my flight for 6 a.m. to come in at 6 a.m. for the day of the audition. The audition was at 10.
Oh, geez.
So it was an overnight flight. I was exhausted.
Oh, no.
And I ended up staying with my best friend. And she was like, okay. She was house sitting. And so she had to like find a way to get me the keys and this and that. And she was, thank you so much. You know who you are. And I called my mom. I was like, Mom, I'm so tired. I don't know what I'm going to do. But I'm so glad that Beautiful's first. So I'm just get that out of the way. But Dear Evan Hansen's at noon. So So I got a nap. I was like, make sure you call me. She called me. I woke up, flew to the audition. Not flew, like just rushed to the audition.
No more riding bikes anymore?
No more riding bikes.
Okay,
No, I should have got got there, and it was like, okay. I sang Locomotion, and I had like 2 lines that they wanted me to do. I don't remember what it is at this moment. And it felt really good. I just remember them all leaning in, and I was like, oh, wow, that went well.
Yeah.
But let me go focus on Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So I went, what did I do? I went and got something to eat, got a coffee, and then I went into Dear Evan Hansen, and my voice was just not in the right place for that role. It was supposed to be very light and airy. I was so tired because I hadn't had any sleep.
And you already auditioned
earlier. And I already auditioned earlier, which was more of a gritty song, which really fit for the role. So I was like, all right, well, I did my best. It's all good. I was really down on myself. But then I got an email. Hey, we would love for you to come back and dance for Beautiful later today. And I was like, oh, crap. I don't have my dance shoes. So then I had to borrow a friend's dance shoes.
You have a lot of friends, Gab.
I know. But be nice to people. Do you see?
Be nice.
Do you see? Be nice to, just be kind. So I was like, okay, they're 2 sizes too big. Whatever. I'll make it work. I stuck tissues in my shoes so that they would fit. The heel was like this high, which is a no-no for a character shoe because they were like from Payless or something, but who cares?
Yeah.
It's better than my sneaker.
No, I love this. Make it work. Make it work. Yeah.
And so I went into the call exhausted. I remember that. Still haven't slept. And I just was like, let's do this. So I learned the combination, and I knew everyone in the room because there's only so many Black girls who were auditioning for Broadway. So I knew everyone, and everyone was cheering each other on. 2016?
2016?
2017.
So this is okay. All right. Okay.
Before the pandemic. Wait, before what?
Well, so what I'm interested about, because isn't Broadway called the Great White Way? Yeah. And it's called that way because there's so many white people on Broadway. Yeah. And so in the 2016 era, was it still okay to like audition as a brown woman, or do you feel like?
It's still okay, but they're just limited roles, and you're more than likely going to be in the ensemble.
Gotcha.
Which, still cool, still progress.
Yeah.
So, like, I want to be a lead.
Yeah, you want to be a lead.
I want more opportunities for that.
Totally.
So now the untraditional casting is even more so now. It was happening then, but it's happening even more now. But for Beautiful, that wasn't going to happen. Carole King is white.
Yeah.
Or Jewish, right?
Yeah.
Jewish lady.
Yeah.
So, like, she's not going to be me. And I'm cool with that. That's
totally.
So I went to the dance call. I learned the combination. I was like, I'm not great, but like, I feel okay. All right, group 1 was me. I was like, dang it, forgot the whole dance. I stepped, touched, and smiled to the end. I'm not even kidding. Like, legitimately stepped, touched, and smiled.
Anything as like nerves, just tired?
Nerves. My Achilles heel is learning choreography. I'm getting better. I'm taking classes, but it's that's like, I'm a actor, singer, dancer, and that's just how it's been. But I was positive till the end, and I grinned and bared it, and I was so embarrassed, and I just was like, okay, that didn't happen. And I got home, and I cried and cried and cried. I got some Lay's potato chips because I love those, like the ruffled ones.
Oh yeah, those are good.
Ruffles, I guess they're ruffles.
Yeah, they're called ruffles.
Yeah, well, whatever. I got some ruffles, and I got some ice cream, and I ate it. I was crying, and then I was like, okay, that's enough. You cried, now you got to get over it. And so I turned on Issa Rae's, like, talking about her journey. Issa Rae wrote Insecure. She directed it, acted in it, wrote it. Like, she's a boss. And I was like, I need some inspiration. So I watched that, and I was hearing about all the no's she got and this and that, and it just made me feel better. And I fell asleep listening to you, Issa. You're out there listening. You helped me through that, girl.
Yeah.
And then the next morning, I got an email saying that I got another call back
What?
to dance for Beautiful, and I was like, this is insane. How did I get that?
I feel like it's like classic sitcom where you have all these girls who are perfectly dancing, and then
Yeah.
you have Gab off to the side just going.
Legit.
And they chose the person.
That was some stank on it. But
Yeah.
I did that, and you know where I learned that? In a workshop at SCTC. When you go to SCTC, you get to audition, but you also get to go to different workshops while you're there.
What's SCTC?
SCTC is it's a what is it called? A conference where you can get auditions. Where I got those 18 callbacks.
Oh, okay.
And so all of these different casting directors will come who are casting for different regional theaters or theme parks, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they also will teach classes while they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was there, I had my planner, and I was like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I learned in a class that even if you don't do it right and perfectly for choreography, if you can smile through it and show me like and that you're into it and that you're committed to it, and then you hit that final pose.
It's all about the final pose, huh?
It's charisma.
Interesting.
You know, it's charisma. How much do you want it? And so I did that, and that ended up helping me in that audition, but I still cried. It's okay to cry, let all that out. Got the call back the next morning, and then I was like, okay, well, I gotta learn this dance. So I started hitting, remember I knew everyone in the room. So I started hitting up my friends like, hey, I'll pay you. Because if you can, you should pay people to help you. If you can.
Yeah.
Not all the time. Sometimes you have those like ace boon coons or really close friends. And, you know, you help me, I help you. That happens, quid pro quo. But if you can, you should do it if you can. So I was like, I'll pay you. Most of them said no. And they were like, no, it's okay. You don't have to pay me. It's all good. Just, her name's Leandra. I don't know her last name. Ellis Gaston. You know, Leandra. She was like, girl, just give me some banana pudding. I love my pudding. So give me some banana pudding and we're going to knock this out. It's like, awesome. Thank you so much. So she taught me the dance. I booked a studio. She came in for an hour and taught me the entire choreography from the show. And then later on, she ended up becoming dance captain for the tour. And now she's in Tina Turner the musical as a dance captain. But you see how kindness gets you places?
Yeah.
Because she easily could have been like, no, I didn't get it. I don't want to help you. No, she was like, sure, why not?
Oh, she had already auditioned and got cut.
Yeah, she got cut.
What was she got cut before or after she helped you?
Before she helped me.
Oh, because she didn't know.
After she helped me. So she was already cut.
Wow.
Yeah, and then still helped me.
Good for her. Okay, that's very nice. Yeah.
And then I learned the dance, went to the callback, and while I was in New York, I was like, I'm going to pick up a shift at Ellen's. So I was at Ellen's carrying trays, doing the choreography, and like just learning at Ellen's Stardust Diner.
Gotcha. Okay,
where I was slinging the cheeseburgers.
Yes.
And then I went to the callback, and I nailed it. I knew it. I still needed some notes and some help, but they saw that I was teachable. Totally. And I only know those words because now I know the choreographer, and she was like, that's what she saw. She saw that we gave you that next chance because they were asking, can you get her there?
Yeah.
Can you get her there? And she was like, yes, because she saw that I worked hard.
Yeah. And fast learner. Yeah.
So then I didn't know that day that I got it. And I flew back to California, was there for less than 24 hours. And I got an email saying that I booked it.
Wow.
I got a phone call from a manager saying that I booked it. And then I flew back the next day because I had to start rehearsal.
Wow.
So I was to stay, like all these things. But that's a hot mess. Yeah. A hot mess. But it worked out.
Oh, that's such a wonderful story, how it all like comes together at that perfect time, and how people believed in you, how much kindness helped you along the way, how you met people who are willing to give more than they're willing to receive and all that. And apparently you make some really good banana pudding as well.
I do, but I bought this from Magnolia Bakery.
Okay, all right. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. So I love that. So finally, we've reached the peak. This is where you put on your superhero cape, that you made it. You're on Broadway. And so obviously we can have a full other interview about that. But I'm curious, what are the life lessons you learned since being on Broadway that you can apply to every area of your life, essentially?
Well, kind of going back to the beginning of this conversation, you know, knowing the why is important because that's what ultimately helped me achieve my goal. And practice. and then practice again, because you're never perfect. You know what I mean? And so you have to continuously work on yourself, continuously keep striving to go past your limits so that you can be the person that you were put on this earth to be. And so I think that was getting to Broadway, because of all of my hard work, was just so validating. And it felt really, really nice that this was my lifelong goal and I achieved it at 25.
Wow.
So I was like, well, then though, I was like, oh, now what do I do? You know what I mean? Like, I've achieved this goal. Like, do I just keep doing this? But it didn't feel right. I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to stay here. It's something felt uneasy. Remember, it's about that intuition, doing what's right. And I'm still kind of sussing it out. I'm a little clearer now, but you know, it's once you achieve that goal, then you kind of have to mourn. I went through a phase of mourning, of like what I was mourning my ambition, because I didn't know what I achieved it. I was like, I thought this was so out of reach. Remember, I thought maybe 50 I would do it.
Oh, really?
And now it's here. And so now what? So what that taught me was keep dreaming. Go further. Go further than you even can think you can imagine, you know? Remember, pushing those limits. So it taught me that. And number 3, I would say, it really drilled into me, you know, being kind, which I already knew, but it just really showed me that, because there's just beautiful people. Truly genuine, beautiful people that I've met that have become lifelong friends now.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's just something about that character, and I want to make sure that I'm continuing that in every single job that I go. Maybe everyone else won't be that way, but I'm going to be that way. I will always support people. I want everyone to win, because again, anything that's for me is for me, and anything that's for that person is for them. I can't take that from them, and they can't take it from me.
Yeah.
It might feel that way when you don't get the job. It may feel that way when you fall on your face or you step touch to the end of a dance call. But it's just not your time. Or maybe it is. You just got to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the fact that from your experience, you felt like all hope was lost and it was over, but you didn't give up.
Oh, my God. My God.
Yeah. There's a higher power going, oh, heck no. Like, this is your time. I love that. And so, yeah, these are definitely great lessons. And for those who don't know, you also, so tell us about my girlfriend Celicia. She's in the show with you. She said that you've been through a journey of figuring out how to pay off all your students' debt.
Yes. I'm a hustler, baby. I just want you to know. Yes.
So tell us, and if you don't mind sharing, like, are you able to share like the numbers you paid off in what amount of time? Yeah,
it was $45,000. And I paid that off over the course of a year and a half.
Holy schnitzel. Okay. So, and that was while you were on Broadway too, right? Okay. So the salary helped.
I started before. So when I moved to New York, I never let it go into default. Don't let it, if you can help it, don't let your loans go into default. So I was always paying the minimum since I graduated.
Yeah.
But then I started working in New York at Ellen's, and Ellen's makes a decent amount.
Yeah.
You do pretty well there.
Good tips there.
Good tips, yes. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm making this money. I want to make sure that I'm smart with it. And I have long-term financial goals. So I know that the first step is getting out of debt. So I was like, okay, well, that's what I'm going to do, which is why I was working all those hours at Ellen's, because I was like, I need to attack this.
Yeah.
Attack it. I want my money to be my money and not constantly have to pay this bill every month. So I was attacking it, but then I was taught how to pay it off. Because first I was just like randomly paying it. I was taught how, and you got to pay it in a pyramid. And so I found the lowest loan, and I was like, okay, I'm going to continuously pay the minimum, but I'm also going to attack this one. So I forget what it's called. You may know the term, the principal. You need to pay the principal of the loan, not the interest. Because when you're paying the minimum, you're just paying the interest on the loan, which ultimately will end up costing you more money.
You pay everything forever. It's so bad. Yeah.
So I was like, I need to attack the principal. So I found the smallest loan, attacked the principal of that. And then while I was still paying the minimum, which was like $60 a month or something along those lines, and I just kept aggressively attacking it. And then I got on Broadway, which steady paycheck, because, you know, serving, you don't know exactly what you're going to make.
Yeah.
But with Broadway, I knew exactly how much. And so I allocated what I was going to pay every single month for that. Budgeting, it's important. I allocated how much I was going to pay, how much I got to play with for my life, for paying myself, and then how much was going into savings. And so that's it. And like me, again, humble beginnings. I have no problem with a hand-me-down. I have no, at Beautiful, there literally was a, I don't even know what we called it. It feels so long ago now, but this whole section in the bathroom of our dressing room where people would just put their old clothes. Just put all their old clothes there and bring it there. Hey guys, I got all these, I cleared out my closet. Great. I'm gonna go in there. And I love fashion. I love playing with clothes. This is like my favorite thing. I used to make my own clothes when I was a kid. And or like purses and stuff. So I was like, this is a gold mine. Great. I don't have to buy clothes. I still would buy stuff here and there, but it'd be things that I really wanted as opposed to just buying fast fashion. I got my fast fashion under the sink.
Hey, if it works, it works.
But yeah, so just I say that to say, finding little areas where I can save. If I ate out, I made sure that it lasted me 2 meals. Oh, and I'm small, so like it worked for me. I'm sure you eat a lot more than I do, but like I would go to let's say I went to Chipotle. I'd cut the burrito in half. I'd eat half the burrito, and then I eat the other half for dinner. And then maybe have some vegetables and snacks throughout the day, you know? But just finding little areas where I could save and then taking that and just throwing it at my loans, you know? So that's a huge accomplishment for me. I'm very proud of that. I remember the day I did it. I think I called Solution. I was like, I don't know. I probably called a lot of people. But I was so proud of myself. And it's changed my life. It gives you financial freedom, which is beautiful.
I bet. And did you feel like you had to like suffer through paying off these loans? Like, how did you like find like the, oh gosh, this really sucks, but what gave you the motivation to say this? How did you make it more fun or exciting, or without feeling like it's so dreadful to have to do all this budgeting and cut your burritos in half and all that?
I am a forever learner. I like learning new things. So I just treated it it didn't feel like I was suffering. I felt like I was investing in myself. You know, again, the why. Why am I doing this? Because I want financial freedom. Because I've come from people who don't manage money well. And I'm not going to do that. So I already knew I'm not doing that. So what am I doing? So let me learn. Let me read books. Let me, Salisha went to this workshop with Susie Orman. She just randomly said it in the dressing room, like, hey guys, you know, I'm going to this thing if anyone wants to go. And I was like, I want to go. $20, paid that. And, you know, you just keep learning. And so it felt like I was, again, I was investing in myself. I was enriching my knowledge, and it just made me feel good. Sometimes I couldn't do certain things, but honestly, I'm a grandma. I like to be in bed. I like to go to bed at 10 o'clock, maybe 9:30, if I can help. If I could really get it in, that's great.
Because you get up early too,
because I get up early, yes. So I didn't feel like I was missing out at all, because when I did, and I'm an introvert, so I'm cool. I'm cool at home. That's fine. Give me some popcorn and a movie. I'm happy. Then I'll fall asleep during the movie. So I didn't feel like I was missing out. And for those of you who do, again, get your why. If you know what you're working towards, if you're aimlessly just saving and it doesn't have the same impact. And then you don't get the reward at the end of achieving the goal. So if you have that goal, really sit down and get honest with yourself. Get the goal, and then everything else will just make sense, because then every decision you make is to achieve that goal. You know what I mean? And I know that sounds like too simple or like, oh, easy for you to say, but it's so true. I didn't create this rule. Like, everyone's been saying this from the beginning of time, you know? And people are trying to find these quick fixes. It's just like losing weight. And I might make some people mad, but the reality is exercise, diet, and sleep. That is how you maintain a healthy lifestyle.
So you went through a part in your life?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay.
No, but I have family members who struggle with it.
Gotcha.
And I've always been, there are people who are more predisposed to it in terms of like your genetics. It does play a factor. And maybe you won't have abs, but in terms of just having a healthy lifestyle, exercise, diet, sleep. And by diet, I also mean water. You know, there's, and time, sticking to it. sticking to it. And you can eat the cheeseburger.
Yeah.
But moderation. It's all about moderation. And so I say that to say those rules that have applied for that for so long apply to so many other different things. It's just about how you work those systems and how consistent you can be and how the tenacity that you can have in those different situations to where you end up outrunning the people. Because some people are going to be on the same race as you, but then they get tired and they stop. And then you keep running and then you get to the front of the line.
There you go. Yeah. I love that. And with the moderation quote, I actually have a personal trainer friend who said that I think his trainer taught him that everything in moderation, even moderation in moderation.
Yeah.
So, and I like that. Yeah. I mean, you never feel like you're hindered or you're held back, but you're also being smart about what you're doing. And so, yeah, it's crazy. Like, I think it's like hundreds of billion-dollar industry, the diet industry, when it just comes down to exercise, diet, and sleep.
Eating real food. We eat so much processed food.
Yeah.
It makes me angry. I could go on a soapbox. I get mad.
I
and
bet,
if you follow me on Instagram, sometimes I rant about it because sugar's in everything. Things that it doesn't need to be in.
Yep.
Everything's processed.
Too much
Fast
corn.
food is cheaper than grocery food, which is almost kind of a lie, and we can talk more about that too, but not now because I don't have enough time. But you know, there are ways to fuel your body and for it still to taste good when you're eating naturally. And if you eat naturally, your body will process it and metabolize it the proper way. Versus if you're just eating fast food all the time and you wonder why you're swollen and your rings don't fit because your hands are swollen and your feet are swollen and your ankles because of the sodium and the processed food and the sugar. That is why. Yeah,
that was the craziest thing I found out about recently is that the sugar industry, they were able to blame people getting fat on the fat industry, but fat doesn't make you as fat nearly as much as sugar does. And so I just, when I found out about that, like I'm always checking the sugar labels, always trying to limit sugar, and it's like, it's so bad for you in so many ways, like, isn't it?
It's easy to forget too. The only reason I'm even thinking about it again now is because Celicia sent me told me about the documentary she watched about sugar, and then it just reminded me and made me angry all over again. And I was like, oh yeah, get out of here, ginger ale. You know, I love ginger ale. I like soda. I just do. Everyone has their thing. That's what I love, and I have to like stay away from it because it more so affects my skin than my weight.
Interesting.
But you know, it's still that's like, you got to listen to your body. You got to take time and sit down and be like, oh, I ate that thing and it makes my stomach hurt. That means your body doesn't want it. That means your body's trying to talk to you and tell you, hey, maybe we shouldn't do that. You know? But whatever. But we live in everyone's asleep.
Yeah. No,
and they want to keep us there.
Yeah, I know. I wish people understood that you know, a lot of people want to make sure that we're sick and make sure that we're unhealthy because a lot of people make a lot of money off that. And so it's our responsibility to do our best to take care of ourselves and I definitely
do your own research.
Do your own research. And I like you said too, listen to your body. Like that's been huge for me. And I read a book recently called Eat Right for Your Blood Type. And that's what makes sense to me is that for thousands of years, humans around the world were adapted to eating different foods. And so I'm O positive, for example. Oh, really? Represent. Nice. So we're supposed to avoid grains, pork, dairy. But I still have those, but in moderation.
Yeah, but they taste good.
It does taste good, yeah. And that goes back to, you know, listening to your body. Like, you know, pork to me tastes so delicious. And so when I read that in the book, like, O positive can't have pork. So I'm like, well, that sucks, but it's not going to make me hinder my life. But then again, maybe I become extra super after that. But I'm like, you know, positives and negatives kind of thing.
But at least you're an active participant in your life and your life choices.
Yes, exactly.
You know that if I eat this, I'm going to feel this way. But you can prepare for that.
Yes, that's true. That's very true.
Like I was talking to my brother about it. For every action, there is an equal or greater reaction, or whatever that quote is. Newton's law.
Yeah.
That applies to everything. And I'd much rather be knowledgeable about what the reaction is going to be versus just blindly doing stuff, not knowing, just la 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 la.
Yeah.
No, I want to know. So then, okay, I know that this is what the result of this is going to be.
Yeah.
But at least I made the choice and it didn't just happen. It makes me feel better.
No, 100%. Yeah, as you know, just like the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was making the world believe he didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you don't know what's happening to you or why things are happening to you, you can't ever address it or affect it. Versus if you do know, okay, I'm going to feel this if I have this milkshake. I know I'm going to be ready to gain a couple pounds if I have this giant burger. But as long as you know what's causing it, you can address it for sure. Yeah.
Because people love to blame outside factors.
Yeah, exactly.
And things do affect you. I don't want to discount life experiences because things do affect you, but at the end of it, no one cares. Well,
so tell us how you learned to feel in charge of your life and like and not fall into that victimhood mindset, essentially.
I have to go back to my mom.
Really?
She taught me to learn, and being homeschooled, it's not about the grade, it's about what you're retaining and the love of knowledge and knowing more. And so she didn't let me just settle for what was. She always pushed me for more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so ask the question again.
The question is, how do you make sure to stay out of that victimhood mindset and how do you make sure to have extreme ownership over your life and feel in charge and control versus blaming everything on everyone else, or blaming anything on anyone or anything else?
Stepping into my power and realizing that they want us to think we don't have power.
Who's they?
I don't know. Who's they?
All right. Yeah.
You know? They want us to think we don't. But we have so much just by how you spend your money. And that comes from me educating myself. Education, and I'm not talking about formal education. You don't have to go to school if you don't want to. It is not required for you to go to college. But you should continuously learn. Learning should not stop once you're out of 12th grade. Read books. Really start to figure out how the world ticks, because it's not that complicated. It's just a matter of your persistence, your tenacity, time, and failing. I've failed a lot in my life. But that's because I keep trying and trying and trying and trying and trying. And that's what helps me to learn that I can't stop. You know what I mean? And that things aren't just what they seem. There's always more. For example, if someone tells you at work that it's a cap on how much you can make, it's not true. Everything is negotiable. Everything. You can negotiate anything and everything. It's all a matter of how much you want it and how much you're willing to lose. Because the greater the risk, the greater the reward.
So tell us more about that. It sounds like you have a story of.
I won't go too much into it. I don't want to go too much into that one.
Yeah.
Because things are still turning, but just know that you have to really know your worth. You got to know your worth. And I have to always remind my brother, I'm kind of glad I talked to him today. He was telling me, like, you've been on Broadway. Like, don't forget that. Because sometimes, okay, I've done this. No, you've been on Broadway. You've achieved something that some people dream about and never achieve in a lifetime. And that's not to gloat and like be like, oh, look at me. But you gotta accept your wins, and you gotta stand firm in them and let that really determine how you market yourself and the value that you put out into the world. Of how people should treat you. People are going to treat you the way that you allow them to treat you. So if you say that you're worth 50 cents, you're worth 50 cents. If you say that you're worth $100, you're worth $100. If you say that you're worth $1 million, you are worth $1 million. And it might take time for people to fully recognize that, but you have to say it, because if you don't believe it, nobody else is going to.
Yeah. I love that. That's so beautiful.
Like I'm ranting.
No, it's good.
You can do it.
It's what we're here for. Yeah, just like I love that. Just like, because I definitely believe in that too. And there's a story I love. Well, there's a story about a rock, but I'm going to tell the water bottle story. And the water bottle story is like you go to like a Costco and each water bottle is worth like 25 cents. And then you go to like a local grocery store and the water bottle is worth $1. And you go to a hotel and it's like, oh, the same water bottle is worth like $8. Like, what is going on? And so just like going back to, knowing your worth, but also making sure you're being put in that right situation where people can pay you that worth, essentially. Like it's going to be a lot harder for that local mom and pop shop to pay you 6 figures a year versus being able to have a top corporate Broadway show pay you minimum 6 figures a year kind of thing. So I just like goes back to what you said, like know your worth, but also the importance of putting yourself in a situation where your worth and your value can be properly compensated, essentially. So I love that. And going back to making sure your value and your worth is compensated, is there anything you wish you knew earlier in your Broadway journey? And obviously you do have a crazy Broadway journey, but looking back on it, like if someone's like, okay, I want to be on Broadway, but I'm not there yet. Is there anything you wish you had learned earlier that you think could have helped you get on Broadway faster?
Yes. Take more dance classes. That's my one regret. My school didn't have the program, and I let that be an excuse. I let it be an excuse.
But you're not a non-excuse person, so this is like the one exception I've heard.
The one exception, because I would have had to. See, I'm still making excuses. I'm like, well, yeah, but no, but truly, I should have made it more of a priority. And thankfully, I was fortunate enough to where I would learn on the job, which is a great way to learn. Awesome, but I should have done more. Because it's my Achilles heel, and it's something that I'm constantly working towards. But what's cool about knowing your Achilles heel and really facing it, you've identified it. Work on it. It's like Michael Jordan. He was told that he would never have a good jump shot, and no one wanted him on teams. He was hard to draft, all this type of stuff. Now, what is he known for?
His jumper. Yeah.
Because someone told him, and you can take that criticism as, oh, I can't do anything now. Everyone hates me, and everyone thinks I suck. And blah, blah. No, okay. You've told me what the issue is. You may not have said it in a nice way. That's possible. But now I know. And now it's up to me to change that. If you don't want to change it, that's fine. But then you have to live with the reaction of that and the consequences of that decision. Everything has a consequence. And consequences are typically seen as negative, but consequences can be positive. It's just the consequence of whatever you did. If I would have learned dance quicker or sooner, then I might have been on Broadway sooner. However, then I wouldn't have had my life experience though. So there's that idea of like trusting the journey, you know? So maybe I needed to not, so that I could have those other experiences, so that I was ready for when Broadway came knocking. But now I'm learning from that and making sure I'm taking, if you have an Achilles heel or something that's like not going perfectly, address it head on. So for example, my dad, I didn't want to deal with it. I did not. It hurt. And I was like afraid of it because I didn't understand it. But the more I learned about it, the more I studied, and the more I realized that, oh, I can do this. Because don't talk to people about what you're doing. Don't tell anybody. Maybe tell your closest friends, maybe. But like actually implement and start some processes and do some things towards it before you start telling the world that this is what's happening and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm going to will it. I'm going to manifest. I am a huge fan of manifestation. But you've got to work. Positive speak, but you got to work towards it. So again, going back to education, study to be quiet and to do your own business. And I don't remember the question.
What do we wish you had learned earlier in the Broadway journey? But you said it was dancing, and just like it sounds like you still were making excuses even leading up to Broadway. So just like absolutely cutting out excuses, like just take control essentially.
Take control.
And I want to see if the answer changes for if people want to learn about what you wish you had learned earlier about removing school debt from your life. Anything you wish you had learned earlier about that process?
It's a hard one because I think I did pretty good, y'all. I think I did pretty good.
Year and a half for 45K is pretty dang good.
Pretty good. I think maybe try to get more scholarships. And I had a scholarship. I had a full ride, but I also had to pay my way through school. So I was going to school full time, and I with 2 majors plus doing theater. And for those who don't know, that's every night, 6 to 10 o'clock at night. Full, sometimes 6 to 11 o'clock. I was in rehearsal, and there would be 2 shows each semester, so it'd maybe be 2 weeks where I was free to do what I wanted. So in addition to that, I was working at a grocery store. So I don't know when I slept. I would have classes from 8 a.m. to 3 because I was taking 18 credit hours every single semester because I was determined to graduate in 4 years. I was president of Alpha Psi Omega, which is
Is
the
the
theater.
program usually 5 years?
No, I was getting a double major.
So oh, wow.
People
Okay.
with double majors usually are in school for 5 years.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
But I was going to school year round.
Yeah. Okay.
And the only way that I could make sure I graduated on time was to do 18 credit hours every semester.
Wow.
And then I do like 6 or 8 during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
But I like learning, so it was fun.
Yeah.
And so, so I was doing rehearsal. I wake up at 8, take class till 3, have like from 3 to 6 to do my homework.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would go to rehearsal, and then I'd wake up at like 3 or 5 a.m. sometimes to work at the grocery store because I had my classes paid for, but I still needed to pay for my housing. I still needed to pay for my food.
Yeah.
And so I would get loans to pay for that, for my housing, and then for my money to spend, I would use the money that I was making at Kroger.
Wow.
And then I also, on the days where I wasn't working at Kroger, I was working in our costume shop because I wanted to. I like to sew. I'm already saying my own clothes, so I like to sew. So I would work there. I wasn't making that much there, but I was getting experience there. So I would work there 2 days a week, and then Kroger 3 days a week. So I was working 5 days a week, plus all the other things I was doing.
And you're president of a sorority too, you said?
And I was president of a fraternity. It was a service fraternity.
Gotcha.
Alpha Psi Omega. It's the theater one.
Gotcha.
And that was hard. I remember my mom always calling me worried about me, and I never understood why. And now looking back, I know why.
Yeah,
I
seriously,
know why.
yeah.
And so, but going back to that, if I would have had more scholarships and I would have put that time in my junior and senior year of high school, that would have covered all of that. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't have had to worry about it, but, and I could have used the excuse of, well, my parents didn't pay for school and that wasn't my journey. Oh, well,
yeah.
I'm happy for those who have that.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That just wasn't my journey. And so I had to make it work and I'm better for it. I think that hard work translated to just becoming to the person that I am today and who I continue to become.
Yeah. And so going back to the debt thing, wishing you had more scholarships. And it sounds like, and because you already had that experience from college about time management, staying focused, like getting things done, you're able to apply it. Like, okay, now I got to apply those skills towards paying off debts, essentially. So that's awesome, being able to learn those skills early on. They've applied so many ways. Skills. There you go. Yes, I love that. And we have a couple questions left here. So Gab, obviously you're very tenacious. You figured out how to get out of that victimhood mentality. You've reached that peak of Broadway, but you're like, that's not a peak. I have more peaks to do. So nowadays, what does get you fired up every day to wake up and seize the day, essentially?
Yeah. So first I want to preface by saying after my Broadway show closed, I was lost. I didn't know which way was left, which way was right, which way was up, which way was down. And this happens. I was like, and I've never been in that space. Remember, I've always had my goal. I knew what I was supposed to be doing. I have it.
Yeah.
And then I didn't. And it started while I was in the show. I was talking to one of my fellow actors about it. And he was like, I went through that same phase. I got depressed after I booked Broadway. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm glad it's not just me. That made me know I wasn't alone. And then, the years went on and then it closed and I was like, what do? I don't know what to do. My mom always says, when you don't know what to do, don't do anything. I don't agree.
Yeah.
I disagree with you, Mom. I disagree.
Well, you can,
I think there's a moment.
And stuff, but
but you gotta take action. And so what worked for me was something I mentioned earlier in this interview of I just tried new things. I started doing more hikes. I went camping. I what else have I done? I drove across the country several times. I started rescuing dogs from animal shelters and random strays out on the street. Like there was that boxer, that dog that I would have gotten that dog. I would have saved it.
So by rescue, you mean that you took it into your home?
I take it into my home sometimes, but usually I try to take it to a shelter. So if I find it, I try to wrangle it up, get it, feed it a little bit, get it to trust me and stuff like that. And then I will take it to the local animal shelter. And hopefully they have a chip or something like that. Because usually someone's looking for the animal, usually.
Yeah.
I've also have fostered animals from the shelter. There was a pit bull that was going to get put down. And so I took it in, rehabilitated it, and found it a new home. But anyway, just doing things like that, really figuring out, getting in touch with myself and saying, okay, what do I love? What makes me happy? What brings me joy? Let me do more of those things. If I do more of those things, maybe more joy will be brought into my life.
Yeah.
And more joy was coming. I was realizing the things that were bringing me joy again. It was making me happy. And, you know, as sad as it was that my show closed, it happened at the best time. Because then COVID hit, and my show would have closed anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? All of these things just would have happened anyway. I was safer out of New York, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Because from what I heard, there was just a lot of fear. Just a lot of fear, and I didn't have to be subjected to that thing. I was still in California, which is a mecca, but I was on the outskirts a bit, so I got to still be outdoors. And again, the sun shines there. It's a happier place, which is where we are now. Now it's happier. You look, there's a freaking lemon tree and birds outside the window. Like that's awesome to me.
There's some birds in New York. Yeah.
Pigeons.
Well, I am next to a Fort Tryon, so I do get to see some birds in there, but there are no birds besides pigeons in New York. So
that's a little oasis up there.
That's true. That's nice. Yeah.
But what were you asking me? I always forget the question. So what am I doing now, basically?
Yeah.
So did things that I loved, and now I'm really focusing my attention on my social media, creating a network there of like-minded people who are, you know, like love to encourage people and love to be encouraged.
Yeah.
And just trying to really, like I said, create a network of like-minded people. That's what I'm really pouring into, and trying to figure out, you know, a brand for myself.
Yeah.
Because I think there are things that I take for granted that I just know that can help a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, which is why I'm happy that we're having this interview and having this conversation, because hopefully, even if it's one person who gets some benefit from this, and I think that I can, and I'm not charging, not yet at least, you know, eventually this might become a massive brand where I go and do motivational speaking and things of that nature. I'm still really nailing that down. And then I also have a new business plan that I'm not going to mention yet, because I'm still, remember, study to be quiet and do your own business. But I have a business plan that I'm working on that has to do with wellness and making sure that people are really in tune with their body and taking care of themselves, that I'm currently doing, and I'm still auditioning as well. If you'd like to hire me, my email is.
No, we'll get your contact info. Because obviously, I hope if someone's watching this, please let me hire Gab, because
I do love
you get stuff done, and you get stuff done.
The thing about it is, I realized that I don't want my art to be my primary income. I want it to be what fills my heart.
Yeah.
I want to be able to make choices of the shows that I'm in and the projects that I do because I believe in it and I love it, as opposed to I need a check.
Yeah.
It takes the joy away from me. And so because of that, I'm now pivoting into other directions and trying to find those multiple streams of income. Like that's really buzzing right now. But we'll see how many people are still doing this in 5 years.
Yeah.
I bet it's not buzzing in 5 years. But people will still be doing it.
Yeah.
You know, people will be successful, but let's see how long it buzzes. And I hope more and more people really take this seriously, because it is possible. And it doesn't mean you'll be the richest person in the world. Or maybe you'll be really comfortable.
I love that.
I'll love that.
Rich. Yeah. In the meantime, Gab will be rich. Yeah. Well, we have 2 questions left, Gab. Last one is, if people happen to just want to get that one takeaway from this interview when it comes to getting the tenacity and just like taking on the world, not having any excuses, what is the one takeaway you want them to kind of have that mindset, that mentality, and that go-getter ambiance that you have, essentially?
Yeah. Be intentional with your life. You only get one. So be intentional, live your best life, like truly. I know people say live your best life, but like truly live your best life. Be kind to people, and really get specific with your goals.
I love that. And final question is, how can people get a hold of you? How can they hire you? How can they interact with you? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
So if you go to my Instagram, it is at Gab Elisabeth, and that's GABELISABETH. That's my Instagram. That's my TikTok. That's like me everywhere. You can also go to my blog, Illuminating Radiance.
Okay.
Where I post different inspirational things, or like I've posted about how I accomplished getting through my debt and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And you can, like, if you go to my Instagram, literally everything's there. In my bio for my Instagram, there's the link to my blog. There's my my email address. You can contact me there. That's the best way. At
Perfect.
Gabby Elisabeth.
All right. Well, this has been super exciting. I've been super inspired myself. I'm like, yes, I could do it. I could do it. Especially hearing your story and like how it's such a Mod Podge, and yet here you are today, and you're like, I've done this, but I still have those other mountain peaks I want to go for. So I love that, and yeah, this has been super awesome. So thanks again for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Blessed.
Yes. Well, definitely follow Gab, hire her, reach out to her. She's very nice, as you could tell. She believes in kindness. And if you're listening in, definitely comment below anything you learned, any takeaways you had, and we'll make sure to see you in the next episode. So see you, everyone.
Bye.
Until next time. Woo.